Thank you for that, Josh. It was amazing.
It was.
It was horrible.
But it's that perfect kind of horrible. Hey, it's the PC Per Podcast. We've returned for episode 665. This is being recorded on February 23, 2022. I'm Sebastian Peak.
Well, there's my mute button. Jeremy Hellstrom. I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm going to be slightly more contrasty, saturated Brett tonight.
Okay. People who listen to the podcast don't have any idea what Brett's talking about. No. But yeah, his color looks
or what you look like. Or
I
what
look
you
normal.
Look like right now.
I look completely normal this week. Sign up to find out when we go live for events like this podcast recording session by going to pcper.com/subscribe. You can go to patreon.com and support us. Patreon.com/PCper. Become a patron of the PC Per Arts. And this week in Patreon, Brett, do we have an update?
You know, we do. And I went and looked, and I decided to celebrate our oldest Patreon member. Our oldest patron.
The oldest member.
Which was oldest member. Well, the one who's still with us, who's actually been contributing for a very, very long time. And that, I didn't want to use their first and last name because maybe they didn't want it read out loud, but it's Andrew A. You might know who you are. Joined January of 2016 and have been a member ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
2016. I didn't even know Patreon existed then.
Well, apparently it did.
Ryan always jumped on the new technologies. Let's move to our most important segment of the week. Josh?
No. And now, yes, it is time for Burger of the Week, but it's not Burger of the Week. No Burger Week. What was the hashtag that I... Not a burger. Not gonna have it. No, today was the, oh gosh, I need to look up the name. Oh, there it is. The Wicked Chili Wiener. Yes, you read that right. The Chili Wiener. This is a hot dog. Chub? It is an all beef hot dog that is locally sourced. And it's a pretty thick, long,
girthy
wiener.
And you put it in your mouth, did you?
Well, after using a knife on it, sure, because this is definitely one that you can't pick up. It's just too messy. And this is going into areas where we never expected. You thought that you needed an edited point earlier. Well, and plus they're out of fried pickles. I mean, oh, the humanity. But yeah, this is red chili, mac and cheese, and caramelized onions all on top of this 100% beef wiener in a bun. And you had to use a knife and fork because it was damn messy. And you could argue it got messier after the knife and fork, but not really because you clean these things up with your mouth. Anyway, it was quite tasty, and it was a nice step away from the burger. And do you actually have... Did I post the picture of it?
No.
Oh, no, you didn't.
How did I forget it? Oh, well, hang on.
I distracted you with pickles.
With the magic of internet.
Yeah.
So now we finally have the photo. Yes, the fries are good. Under that, you can just see the tip, just the tip of the wiener sticking out of the mac and cheese and the red chili. And it was a robust red chili. I mean, it wasn't hot. I kind of wished I had some hot sauce in my office that I could do this. But, this was a messy hot dog. And it was tasty. And it hit all the right notes. And the fries were good, too. So, this was a positive Wednesday.
I'm still confused by the mac and cheese. I'm not saying good or bad.
Flavor and texture. Confused. Yeah. Something different. I mean, they have a burger there that is a burger, and then they have this mac and cheese patty that, they make mac and cheese and they somehow compress
and then they fry it up
solid form, and they fry it and they put it on top of there. And so this is just kind of like that. Except,
I had that once. It neither added nor detracted from the burger. It was just sort of...
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good. I mean, mac and cheese is not my favorite. If I was a mac and cheese enthusiast, I'd be much more excited about this. But as it is, I will take it or leave it with mac and cheese. But it was a decided positive to the entire experience.
You can always have that, doomed third party candidate. and it can be, in this case, it used to be Matrox, but now Matrox just sells
No, it's
AMD
Intel?
GPUs. Now it's Intel, exactly. So let's look at some of the many Intel stories that have come out since last week. There's a roadmap. We will finally see Intel's Arc hybrid integrated discrete graphics arrive this year, writes Jeremy Hellstrom at PCPro.com. The integrated full metal Alchemist design, I see what you did there, will be unique according to the roadmap supplied. So, okay, no chiplets yet, right? It's going to be monolithic at first.
That's when it levels up to go from an alchemist to a battle mage.
I see.
And then a celestial, and I don't know where they're going to go from there.
Here's the Ars Technica story. So the desktop GPUs, I assume that means DG2, coming in Q2.
Yeah.
But don't expect them to end the GPU shortage.
They're supposed to make a lot of these, though. A whole.
They're supposed to do like 7 million over the next, throughout 2022 with discrete. And that's, worldwide, when you're talking about millions and millions of users, that's not much. But when suddenly you have a drop of at least 4 million GPUs in Q2, that's going to change the marketplace fairly significantly. Maybe not, it's not going to turn it over. However, what it is going to do is it's going to make graphics cards actually available. And it's sad that it is happening in Q2. But from what we understand, they're looking at, the top end kind of RTX 3060 Ti, 3070 type performance. And they will be offering them at those type of prices, except probably at more MSRP. At the very first, though, again, just like with anything, we're probably going to see high prices and low availability just because it is a brand new product. But a lot of that is it's throwing a big chunk of product into the marketplace that you got AMD and NVIDIA trying to, fill the supply chain as much as they can. And when you have this third party come in with a pretty significant amount of product, it's going to drive prices downwards eventually. A couple of weeks after the release. And so that's what everybody is hoping. And I think that is eventually going to happen. Like I said, it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before we see that kind of shift. But when that shift happens, it's going to be fairly significant. You're not going to see a 6700 XT down at 449, but you probably will see one at 550 to 600, which is a whole lot better than the $900 price point it's sitting at right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see, how many SKUs Intel releases, the performance from low to end, the top end. I have kind of a feeling that their low is going to be sub 6500 XT, but not by much. There's some rumors that low may not be above the brand new, what is the new AMD RDNA? Is it 3 based or 2 based? 6000 series mobile.
Oh,
still 2.
It's like enhanced.
I think it's
to a
RDNA
6 nanometer version.
It's not the original RDNA 2 though.
Yeah, it's enhanced and stuff, just like Zen 3 Plus is enhanced. And there are rumors that their low end will not even meet that. But once you start getting into the mid-range and Intel's top end, then you have competitive products at competitive prices. And they're not going to be as popular as AMD and NVIDIA because they still have a lot to prove in terms of drivers. But this is a company, Intel it's got 25 years worth of experience when they bought the Starfighter 3D group from Lockheed way back in the day that eventually produced the i7-40 standalone GPU with all the new AGP specifications that were brand new at the time with the Intel 440LX chipset. It was exciting times. So hopefully, I'm not expecting them to make a huge splash in terms of performance and stability and driver quality. However, it's going to be an option for people who really need GPUs. So I'm excited for them to actually release this in Q2. It should have been in Q1. Didn't quite happen. But, this is the second time in their entire existence that they're actually releasing a standalone consumer graphics chip / card. So it's going to be interesting to see who their partners are, if they're doing it alone. I don't know any of that information right now. If there's going to be, MSI, Asus, Gigabyte based Intel GPUs, or if, we're going to have like the motherboards from Intel until they kind of seed things out. I don't know yet, but I'm guessing they're going to have partners.
And then,
what do you guys think?
Look at this clickbaity headline from Tech Radar. New Intel GPU is mind-blowingly cheap. But it's actually, they're talking about DG1. It's around $100, apparently. But I think DG1 requires a specific chipset, right? You can't just throw it in anything.
Part of the microcode for the GPU was actually downloaded from the chipset, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So only Intel B460, B365, and H310C motherboards are compatible with the GPUs.
Weird.
Yeah, I just did that. Okay, that's going to be strange because how many of those are out there and still being used by OEMs? Those are ancient chipsets.
I can't imagine there's many.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Banks, hospitals.
Don't worry. DG2 will be better. DG2 won't have such restrictions. It'll work on everything. Oh, hey, speaking of Intel and graphics, not processor graphics, but they keep on bringing more and more AMD people over.
Yeah, Josh, you were just talking about how deep their intelligence went, and I'm like, well, maybe they needed a little more. Maybe they needed just one more.
Wasn't enough.
Well, I mean, at one point there was something like 23 different graphics groups inside of Intel, each working on different products, and they were each slightly different from the other. Raja was brought in to kind of clean house and get things going. And yeah, they keep hiring people from outside of their group into, the company. And, it's exciting to work at Intel. I mean, not everything is bad. If you're there for like less than 10 years, apparently your experience is quite good. It's after that point that things start getting hairy in terms of how they do employee reviews and what your competition is, and how you're hiking up the ladder. And after 20 years, things are looking pretty grim if you don't make it into the top executive levels. But this guy is, he's been around the industry for a while, and he's brand new, so he's got a long life at Intel. And until he turns 60, then might be rough.
Well,
but yeah, he's one of the head engineers of the Radeon group, and he has a tremendous amount of experience there. Maybe he's looking for a little bit more money, the ability to really help guide a new endeavor and to apply some of his other ideas that may not have been, approved or thought highly of at AMD. And so it's going to be interesting. It's, when you're thrown into a new pool, sometimes you got to swim with different sharks. I don't know if that makes sense, but swim faster.
Okay. Do you believe some of the outrageous rumors floating around about the upcoming RTX 40 series Ada Lovelace GPUs? Here's a report at WCCF Tech that says they could feature an 850 watt TDP. I just want this to be true. That's exciting.
Well, if Moore's Law's dad went back and forth a little bit about this very thing, and I can see them releasing a 850 watt TDP GPU, but it will only be for a very specific space, namely enterprise water cooled. I mean, you've got this big GPU, massive piece of silicon. You can cool it very well, and you can pump the power into it as long as you don't care about heat and power. And that's these enterprise people who want to get every ounce of performance out of a GPU. And why not? If you can develop and engineer a solution that will give the very, very cutting edge of performance for these guys who are willing to take on that expense, you can sell one of these GPUs for $40,000 probably, because you can get really dense compute in a water-cooled, controlled, high-power environment. And that's probably, you're not going to see it in a desktop. You are not going to see an 850 watt
Oh, come on.
TDP GPU in a
not?
desktop.
Look, we complain about this, or some people might complain about this, but think about this. In your home right now, if you have an over-the-range microwave, you probably have a dedicated circuit just for that. There's an outlet in the wall or a wire coming out of the wall somewhere for it.
You know, that was exactly the comparison I was going to make.
You're going to have to have a dedicated 20 amp circuit for your PC going forward. That's fine. What's wrong with this? You know, 220.
There's nothing wrong. Nothing.
A dryer
It's not going to stress the PSU makers out at all.
No.
They're going to love it because they can now. Everybody has a reason to upgrade. This is like 3D TV. This is like a PSU company's wet dream right now. This is like
you need to run this on a 220 outlet.
Yeah, electricians will be out in full force.
Rejoice.
PC enthusiast gaming will become even more niche
than
it already has.
You're going to have HVAC people come in to do ducting for your PC.
Whoa, you like setting up a mining rig here? No, I'm using one desktop computer to play games. That's all. That's why I need all
You'll
of
have to start learning your
really
NEMA
good
plugs.
games. Your NEMA plugs.
Because that's not going to want a normal 3-prong
No,
plug.
it's not. It's not wired the same. You can't even use the same.
You got to have the thing, the 3-way that has the
the Y-shaped ones that come out at an angle with the pin in it.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Like an electric dryer. Like an electric dryer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or many UPSs. I don't know if it came as an external enclosure, maybe. But yeah, Josh, I hope you're right, because that also means that they have produced a card that is that amazingly powerful that it's worth footing the bill to power it.
You can raise the TDP of any chip pretty high. I would imagine that the very edge would be 1,000 watts. That would be tough to cool.
No. That's not a locking one. That's a boring one.
It's not locking. This will handle 30 amps. I mean,
that's a 30
but
amp
here's
one.
the thing: is that say you get double the performance going from 300 watts to 600 watts, but what is your performance going to be going from 600 to 850? Probably maybe a tenth, if you're lucky. Going to 1,000, another 1/20th of the performance of the jump, an extra 1/20th of performance.
Are you saying there's diminishing returns past a certain point?
There are.
It's a great way to
diminishing returns.
But it's a great way to turn electricity into heat. Really, that's kind of.
I mean, have we looked at overclocking over the past 4 years and really been impressed by?
Not really.
You need liquid nitrogen to do anything anymore. It's not like it used to be.
It's like a 6800 XT that I took it from, at the wall, 380 watts, and took it up to 520 watts.
Good Lord.
And that was just essentially the GPU. And I got 4% improvement in performance for all of that power. But, I'm not everybody. I'm not a multi-billion-dollar company that wants to squeeze every ounce of performance, and they don't care how much they pay for it. And that's going to be who's going to buy this.
Every day, I see Tesla chargers in people's driveway on my way to and from my son's school. I feel like if you're going to put in a Tesla charger in your driveway, you could put something like that inside your house and plug your gaming PC into it. That's all I'm saying. It's the same power delivery.
Now, this is a little stretching the truth.
Well, right, because if you look at the report,
one or the normal charge
You
one.
can actually pull a lot
These are
of power.
just rumors. This is people on Twitter like Copite7 Kimmy who even are admitting this is just a rumor, but they've heard 450/600, maybe 800 watts for the TI up to the 90 series. This is also just assuming there will be some mythical RTX 4090 product that at 850 watts, wouldn't that have to almost be a dual GPU? I mean, but we don't do dual GPU anymore, so
No.
whatever.
Well, we don't have, they're always working on interconnects, these guys, because eventually you're going to go chiplets.
Yeah.
Because that's the most efficient way to go.
Maybe you're tired of Windows 11. Maybe you're tired of Microsoft's BS, and Windows 11 isn't for you. Well, there's a new Chrome OS. Let Google spy on everything you do instead of Microsoft for a change. Well, I mean, they
What a
both do.
change.
But if you don't have TPM 2.0, or you just don't like moving, like this is for me. I don't want to move to Windows 11, Jeremy. So tell me about my alternative here.
Well, I mean, you can stay on an older operating system because I don't think your system's going to be able to handle Windows 11.
But Microsoft tells me I
don't
need to
know
upgrade.
that you'll be able to install a TPM 2.0 module into that machine you're on right now.
This is a very advanced machine. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but there's a sticker to the right of the 3.5-inch floppy drive. It is fully Y2K compliant. This has been certified, and this is
If only it had a turbo button.
It's an allegedly 200 megahertz equivalent processor, but I think it's only in like the 133 megahertz range.
It's probably the 166, isn't it?
Oh, maybe it's the 160.
I
It's a
would think it would be the
PR200.
166.
It's a 6x86
Probably the 166.
PR200, 32 megabytes of RAM. It's running Windows 3.1 and DOS 622. Of course. I mean, you have to have DOS 622.
What do you play on it?
Well,
game
earlier
on
I had Doom and Doom 2 on it.
Excellent.
But
Excellent.
yeah. Where were we? Stories. Tech.
So if you wanted to, and the other nice thing about this is it revives old hardware. If you've got something that's really ancient and is like maybe, say, an Apple machine that can't survive the OS updates anymore,
Hey.
or just a old Windows, well, a machine built to run Windows, but it never really expected to have an OS install of 100 plus gigs. This is a new Chrome OS called Flex. That's a watered down Gen 2, more or less. But the thing is that it's the full on Linux shell. So you can actually run a lot of the same full on programs. It's not an Android machine. A couple of people have wondered, well, can I run Android apps on it? Well, no, it's not that. It's neither a Chromebook nor a Windows machine. It's something sort of in the middle. And I mean, the lovely thing is that all it wants is a machine that can boot from USB, has a 64-bit processor in it, 4 gigs of RAM, and 16 gigs of storage. That's it. You can do that. Boom, done. This will install. And, it's kind of nice for a lot of old stuff where you're looking to build something that's light duty, but it is fairly capable. It can do just about everything you want to from a full-flavored install of Linux, just without sort of the effort of learning how to use that operating system, because that's the idea, is they make it something you can give to a family member who can't upgrade. Like, boom, here you go. Run it. The Aura shell looks very similar to Windows with some differences, but it's not switching from Windows to Android or Windows to Apple. So it's kind of an interesting idea. This was a product before, and I can't think of what it was. It was something cloud ready, but it was a little more cloud oriented. But it was one of the people that Google absorbed and borged out. And they sort of did this, but it was a little more virtual. But again, they went from the effort of trying to install Linux on a machine and dealing with everything and sort of having the learning curve to push a button and we manage just about everything. So I don't know. It's something I'd like to try if I can dig up an old laptop from somewhere and fire it up just to see how it goes. But I haven't had a chance to yet.
Can
Maybe
I
peripheral
get
one.
this running? Can I get this running on my 603E Power PC? Any chance? No.
No, it's a 32-bit processor, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be, or
Yeah,
maybe one of the ones that
64-bit
was
only, sorry.
3264. Might have been one of the
Maybe.
3264s. I think that was the E.
Then that would be interesting to see.
The E was the 32 probably. I don't remember.
Hey, we take those into space, so why can't it run Chrome OS?
They're very robust.
Hey, are you frustrated by current router technology?
Yes.
Where most of these routers, they still have gigabit switches on the back, and some of them have like a 2.5 gigabit port somewhere on it. Is this a typo, or are we talking 25 gigabit here? Is it 2.5 or 25?
Oh, this thing.
This is interesting. It's a router on a card, essentially. Serve the Home looked at this. It's from MikroTik. The CCR 2004-1G-2XS-PCIe. It has dual SFP28 25 GBE router on a PCI card. You can read all about it at Serve the Home.
Let me tell you something. We got a MikroTik router, a 10G router in production at my work.
Yeah.
And if you use that thing as just a dumb switch with no layer 3 type functionality, that thing is a monster. It's really fast. It's really inexpensive. It runs really well, super stable. And we've had no problems with it for months and months and months and doing heavy IO. They've been great. And yeah, they make stuff that maybe not at the Cisco level, but it's definitely not at the Cisco price. So as long as you know what you're getting, what you're paying for is really, really good if you keep focused on what you want. And I don't know enough about this particular part, but I'm just saying MikroTik in overall, they're kind of shockingly good at what they do at their price points.
Yep, and they're also Cisco compatible, although Cisco doesn't like that very much. Because this is the sort of device you usually see stuck into a network appliance. It slides in, there's your two 25 gigabit connectors, maybe a 1 gigabit management port, which this does come with. So you can make it smart. But it's a unique, I've never seen this on a PCIe. Right? This is shoved into a server sometimes, but usually shoved into a network appliance. But here's the problem, Josh. It's got a quad-core, the guys that Amazon bought out, Annapurna. So a quad-core ARM-based CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, and 128 megs of NAND. I'm betting the ones you bought were at least double that, if not more than double.
Yeah, but it's 10 port. No, it's 12 port.
It'd probably be 12 port. I couldn't imagine it'd be 10.
Yeah.
But the thing is that even still, with just those two, you've got enough bandwidth that you're still managing a lot, right? You're not just plugging two PCs in there. So it does kind of limit the usability of it because it's a little limited. There's only so much you can put on the firmware to be able to update it. And that was one of the things Serve the Home said, is that, like, I want to try it. I need to try this thing. It's nifty, but it's a little anemic because you could do so much more. But on the other hand, if it's about the same price, if it's about twice the same price, twice the price of a small home office router, it's so worth it. Oh my God, it's so worth it. Oh, like, you will just unbelievable the amount of control you'll have. So it's going to be the first one. Oh, and the other thing is it boots after the computer. So you can't actually use it for
this is
booting and stuff.
This is a niche product. Yeah, but it's one that people, this is one that people in enterprise, and I'm talking, upper small to lower medium sized businesses can actually afford, and will have functionality for server to server type communications at 25 gigabit in IO intensive apps. This is going to be great for them.
I hope it's running their proprietary OS on it, and that you can talk to it like it's a separate device.
It's got the management port, so you can come into it. It'll have its own IP.
Yeah, it's got two ways of doing it. You know, the standard Cisco plug-in SSH, and then they have a visual GUI that is kind of goofy, but
Yeah.
it works once you start figuring it out.
I have one of their
Once you bash at it a bit.
5.10 gig ones. It's kind of a funny way of managing it, but it works.
Yeah.
TrueNAS Scale released and resetting the NAS paradigm. Can somebody explain to me why this is such a paradigm shift? It's the release we've been waiting for.
You're not going to
Apparently.
go into this, Brett, because I bet you use more NAS than I do.
I do. I've been using Unraid for a while.
And NAS than we do.
I didn't want to step on you.
Everyone gets more NAS than we do.
Yeah, this looked interesting simply because I've been an Unraid user for a while, and I was thinking about, okay, I've used this for a while, and now what about TrueNAS? Maybe I should give that one a try. And then Jeremy put this article up. But this looks like it's really more for an enterprise user because it's TrueNAS Scale. So it's designed to replace far more expensive systems that have been out there for some period of time and at a much more reasonable price. So it's designed to do VMs. It's designed to do file serving. It's designed to do essentially what pfSense does. It's designed to do routing, and it's designed to be multi-user, and it's designed to be an app launcher as well, a remote app repository and launcher. It's versatile. So I thought I'd try and give this a run, but I wasn't sure about the Scale one. So Jeremy, if you know anything more about TrueNAS at Scale, go into that.
Well, I mean, probably the biggest step is that they've added support for virtualization via KVM and Kubernetes.
That was it. And Linux,
so
they moved from
yes,
and Linux.
So whereas before it was sort of TrueNAS wasn't necessarily niche, but it was a smaller market.
Well, you had TrueNAS, and then you had FreeNAS.
Yes,
and FreeNAS was, but now they got rid of FreeNAS. They all wrapped it into TrueNAS, and now it looks like that they're offering. I didn't realize they went from FreeBSD to a Linux kernel.
Well, that's a recent change, but they essentially commercialized the FreeNAS concept into this TrueNAS as a commercial option.
Yeah, it's still there's still a free version, but yeah, it's not going to have these bells and whistles.
No, this is for when you will need to scale up, obviously. Although while you're still using NAS at this point, anyways, that's a different topic. So it's interesting to see if it's how well it's going to scale up, because I think that they're picturing it as a limited scale up, but they're definitely going to get some interesting customers out of this. I'm being attacked by a cat right now, so it's kind of hard to keep talking directly.
They did compare it. They did compare it to several other well-known other systems that cost a lot more money. So I think that there's going to be a market for this sort of thing in the small to mid-sized businesses.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if it does well, VMware should be scared. Because VMware has not gotten anything new lately. Yeah, it's shinier, but it's still the same crap. Not that I've had to deal with VMware problems recently or anything.
And the Linux KVM is well proven. It's very robust. It's used at scale across a lot of different providers. So this is definitely a threat at a certain business size to VMware. Mm-hmm.
And our readers actually have a good point. It's looking like the System D of NAS software. Which, they better hope it is, because that would be amazing.
I guess. I mean, I was more of an init person, but I suppose System D sort of won.
I've
System
heard
D
of
won.
init.
Jeremy, do you want to tell us briefly, as we continue our coverage of Server the Home, STH, a Lenovo ThinkCentre M75Q. It's a Gen 2 35-watt AMD Ryzen 5000 powered Would you call this a thin client?
No, I would not. This is actually designed to be a workstation, bizarrely enough, and at about 35 watts or so. So the Serve the Home didn't pick up the vanilla one. The one they picked up had a Ryzen 5 Pro 56500 or 5650G in it because, well, you literally can't find Ryzen 7 Pros right now. 8 gigs of memory and 256 gig SSD. They threw this all in there, and it's not the most powerful workstation you're ever going to run into, but it doesn't actually need power. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It only needs a little tiny bit of power, but compared to any other sort of workstation, it just sips power. They've did a few tests on it. It's brilliantly built. It's tiny. It's like 7 inches by 7 inches by 1.5 inches. Just to try and give you an idea, it's like you may own a paper or a hardcover book that's bigger than this damn thing is, and has a lovely amount of connections on the back. They didn't get there is a way that you can slip in on top of that an extra for our audio listeners. There's to DisplayPort, HDMI, USB Type A, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1s, a gigabyte NIC, and Wi-Fi antenna. But there's a little space where you can add in a serial console port, HDMI, or another display port. There is something bad about it, because I did mention it was Lenovo. They've incorporated something which they call AMD Platform Secure Boot. Now, it sounds lovely, but what this does is it says that this is the processor that this system was designed for. This is the processor that shall be used. So even though it is upgradable, you could actually pop in another AMD processor. You won't be able to boot. Unfortunately, you're going to have to actually buy whatever model it is of ThinkCentre you want with whatever processor you want. As far as upgrading the RAM, upgrading the SSDs, absolutely no problem. But the processor itself, yeah, not so much. In fact, they even said, screw it. This thing's too anemic. We're going to throw in 16 gigs of RAM and a Sabrent Rocket Q 1 terabyte drive. No problems. A little bit of secure boot problems, but, well, we all have problems with secure boot. So it's just amazing to think that this sort of thing can do a lot of work and is just sipping power. The processor itself is 35 watts. The rest of it is not very much on top of that. And it does some decent benchmarking. It costs a little bit more than the Intel version, but then again, it uses a little bit less power. And NUCs have changed.
That's what it seemed like to me. It seemed like a Ryzen version of it. And unfortunately locked.
Yeah, that's not good. It's a socketed process. I would understand, obviously, if it was soldered to the board, but no, it's a socket. And they just won't allow you to change
it's a socket.
Until there's some workaround.
Yeah, but it's IBM. They put a lot of work into being
okay.
difficult.
Hey, everything can be hacked. It's a matter of time. Yeah.
That's
Every
so
time I
bizarre.
accidentally move into this frame, it's creepy and disconcerting.
It is.
Speaking of creepy, disconcerting things, Microsoft. There's
I was going to say, you weren't going to focus on me and say, speaking of creepy, disconcerting things.
Oh, me, I looked straight into the camera, but
some exciting Windows news for all of you Microsoft fans. Windows 11 Pro, and if you're a Microsoft fan, you're probably on board with this already because your entire life is wrapped up in a Microsoft account. So you will need that account to set up future versions of Windows 11 Pro. Good luck with the offline version of the setup, I guess. I mean, if you manually unplug your Ethernet cable, you're still going to have to create a account? What if you never
They've
go
pretty
online?
much gotten rid of that, yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Although I really want to sort of test that by installing Windows 11 on the machine, doing a full wipe on it, installing it again, and seeing if I can somehow successfully log in with my Windows account and password. I figure that will be a thing.
Let's move to our gaming quick hits. And we're going to talk about Total War Warhammer 3.
And all these losers that couldn't get a modern GPU.
I'm sorry, I missed the war when I wrote it.
Feel very sorry for people. No, my 6800 XT is just fine with this thing. But apparently a lot of people are having a very, very bad time. It won't launch. It'll launch, but decide it didn't like to launch and crash. It'll launch and decide that no matter what you picked, it's going to be 1080p. You can change the settings all you like. It's still just going to do that. Or if you actually get into the game, it's going to be lagging at about 3 or 4 frames a second for no good reason whatsoever. And so Creative Assembly is going to do the shotgun approach. They're going to be spitting out a bunch of small little hotfixes to try and address a bunch of different issues, which never causes any problems whatsoever. But on the other hand, do you really want to wait a month and then get a full 80 gig patch that might or might not solve what you did?
Well, you'd have better luck waiting a month for that than waiting a month to try to find a GPU at any kind of a reasonable price. So,
or waiting for Cyberpunk 2077 to get patched.
But it did again. It has
that
better
just
shadows now.
Again.
Yes,
It's
yes,
up to version 1.5.
They upgraded the version of DLSS and added FSR.
Yeah. It just continues to get better and better. It's the gift that keeps giving.
I'm not a big fan of the Souls tile, but apparently Elden Ring has decided to just like totally go off the rails and has had a perfect release with almost no one having any issues.
Whoa.
Which is just, totally and completely shocking. Yeah, so if you can get Warhammer to run, it's actually hefty. It's significantly it's harder than the previous two. Like a 1080 Ti was barely playing 660 frames a second at 1080.
This is what we want. Well, normally. I always looked forward to games that would push the limits of hardware. And
but you look forward to being able to buy a graphics card too, didn't you?
Yeah, but the 1080 Ti has been a fantastic option for the last several years now. When did that come out?
What?
2017?
Sounds about right.
Something like that. So, anyway.
Yeah. So if you're running a modern one, it can handle it, but otherwise, not so much.
Here's some good news. One of the annoying million launchers is going to shut down. Bethesda's launcher is shutting down, and they're just going to use Steam. So, that's nice. One fewer thing to have running if you play one of their games. Annoying.
Yeah, so I've got the Bethesda, Minecraft, Battle.net, Epic Games, Steam, Game Center for World of Warships, Tanks, Amazon Games, Ubisoft, GOG, Galaxy, Origin.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
But aren't we glad that we got rid of brick and mortar stores? We actually had to go to one location that had everything you wanted and you could own it and walk out.
Do you know how much I miss physical media?
So much, Josh.
It's convenient for us. It's inconvenient for companies.
Yeah.
Because you never know how much to print and create and send to different areas. And you have some areas that are in shortage and others that they're overstocked. And it's the problem with brick and mortar and physical media is that it's inefficient.
But do you not remember?
It's not inefficient for the consumer, damn it. Because I've got discs on hand and I can just reload it and run it.
Yeah.
Don't have to have an internet connection.
You had to ship working software. You didn't dare patch it in the field after you'd shipped it. So that sort of forced them to have more working software. Well,
you and your kids with your internet patches. You'd have to mail order a patch from your game publisher.
Did you really have to mail order a patch?
Game breaking PSR game.
I've only had one.
It was the Dragonlance one.
Mine was
Yeah.
a motorcycle racing sim way back in the day that they shipped out these discs that would only run on certain systems. And then if you
Wow.
tried to do it on others, it wouldn't read it. And so you had to write them. You had to send your disc in, and they would send you a replacement that actually worked.
Yeah.
And that usually took about a month and a half.
Please allow 5 to 8 weeks for delivery.
Yeah.
We used to live like that. Like animals.
We used to.
Do you not remember the kiosks, though? Where you could go and you could, and this was specifically for songs, but you could go and you could ask I want this newest release from a performer, and it would like literally sit there and burn you a disc and spit it out.
Oh, I never saw one of those, no.
Oh, yeah. No, they were a thing in Toronto for a little bit.
Was this before Napster, or was this the music industry's solution? Well, here's an easy way to get music,
I think they were mad at Blockbuster, and no, it wasn't Napster. It was probably LimeWire.
Tower Records?
Well, everyone's mad at Tower Records, so that's fine.
No,
Well, they don't exist anymore, so nobody's
who ran
mad at
these kiosks? I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
And I basically
no,
live in Canada. I mean, we're in Canada Junior here in Michigan.
You wish you were.
Yeah, I know. It's a fantasy. Guru of 3D reports on a Synology vulnerability. Now, Synology NAS is very popular and in wide use, including in my home. This is disturbing to read for the first time. What are the affected products? DSM 7.0 and DSM 6.2. Okay, that one.
It's like all the products, but that's the software version.
Oh, that's the software version. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Shows how much I know. So it's everything? All right. Well, it's that time. It's time for a review. And Brett posted a review of the chair he's sitting in right now. Please.
Not the comfy chair.
Take it away.
This is
It's a comfy chair.
It's reasonably comfy. Yeah. CE Win Racing Champion Series chair came, of course, in a box directly from China. Very well packed. I made mention in the review. Surprisingly, I've assembled probably 3 of these racing seat style chairs, and this is probably the best one. Actually, it is definitely the best one from a pack assembly, quality of components, putting it together, the finish on everything, the quality of materials. Not bad. Very nice. Very reasonable. The casters and everything, the tilt and the arm rest mechanisms have 4D alterations to them. They'll slide forwards and backwards and in and out and tilt, turn a little bit, and of course go up and down. It is a surprisingly good chair for this style. I'm personally used to sitting in actually far more expensive chairs, and I got tired of sitting in cheap chairs. Hurt my back, hurt my neck. It's just not worth it anymore. So I've spent a fair amount of time over the past 3 weeks or so, a month, doing streams on the podcast and gaming for many hours. And this has not resulted in me having a sore neck, sore back, a little sweaty because it doesn't breathe quite as well as cloth. It is a little bit leather-like, and I tried to take some pictures of that. It's not very perforated. It is reasonably leather-like in its material, but it's comfortable to sit in, and it's not narrow.
Nice straps.
And it's got some so that you don't fall out in case, you fall asleep. You can strap yourself in. No, not really. You can't strap yourself in. I suppose you could if you really wanted to, but no, it's not what they're for. Anyway, they even came with some really cute white gloves so that you don't hurt your hands and don't smudge anything on the way in. That was a little bit of a surprise. I was like, why do they include these white gloves? But I took some pictures wearing them. Yeah,
that's not weird at all.
Chair.
Look, there's nothing weird at all about wearing white gloves.
There's a couple of pictures in the review.
Chair. It's like this ritualistic experience. Like,
yes,
put on the soft cotton gloves and I slowly turn the Allen wheel in my hand.
That's actually illustrates.
Screws.
I know, aren't
Bolts.
they sweet? The thing of it is they didn't even throw them all in a bag. They actually had them preset where they were supposed to go, and that's a step I've never really seen on a chair like this. So
Okay.
I appreciate their attention to detail in areas. They were trying to be consumer friendly in the way that they.
What's the price of this chair?
It varies. It's about right now. It's about $370, but I think there's a discount. There's a link in here that will give you like a small discount. I think. Yeah, it's about $370 right now.
Okay. My biggest question. I'm sure most listeners. Does it make you a better gamer? This is a gaming chair.
No, I'm still fairly terrible at most games, but I keep trying. I think it's a skill gap. It's probably going to remain that way. I feel slightly cooler sitting in it, although it is slightly warmer after sitting in it for a long time. It's kind of a weird dichotomy.
Yeah. I wonder how it'll be in the summer. Will you be swimming in it?
I'm going to leave the AC on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's it. We need to start installing fans in the bottom of chairs.
It is designed to support up to a 400-pound girthiness. So you could bring several hot dogs of the size that Josh was eating with you and have them in the chair. And that would be fine. The chair would.
I don't know if we're talking about the same
abuse.
thing. I don't know if it's rated for that kind of activity, Brett.
Okay.
Posting multiple hot dogs.
No.
Okay.
I have not eaten, but I gave it the of the number of chairs of this type that I have assembled, put together, and sat in, and not quite enjoyed as much as this one. That's why I gave it the gold award. It is the nicest one of the style that I have used.
Excellent.
Assembled and sat in and whatever. It's not a bad chair. You guys should check it out if you're looking for one like this, or somebody should. Somebody check it out.
I bought one of those Noble chairs. Well, the one I'm sitting in right now, probably 5 years ago, and it's from Germany. It's held up amazingly well. I mean, the elastic straps on the headband and the as elastic straps do, they stretch and degrade.
Yes.
But the leather, the pleather of that is, and then the foam that they use, it was really super high quality. I'm not trying to write your review of this higher end chair, but sometimes paying more gets you a better experience. In this case, I've been great. That and Secret Lab apparently is very good at gaming.
Secret Lab, they're very good, but those are, I think, $1,000 chairs. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right around.
They're less than that. They're more like Noble chairs, and they're $300 to $400 to $500, depending on the model.
Oh, I thought they were quite a bit more expensive because I had somebody, throw at me like, "Oh, you can go buy a chair, but you can't spend $1,000 on a Secret Labs chair." But anyway,
I mean, they may have a model that's up there, but the majority of their pricing is less.
Most of my time I actually spend in Steelcase Leap V2s, which are very good chairs. They're about $1,200 a chair.
I bought a Hon Ignition 2.0 on sale for about $400, and love it.
I used garbage from IKEA that cost me about $40. Let's move on to picks.
That's why you didn't grow, by the way. That's the reason.
No, there's for a variety of reasons. Josh.
Me.
What is this?
I chose this because one, it came in an interesting color, and it had both the tall and the short PCI backplates.
Ah, yes.
And it's an inexpensive and looks like high quality 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. And I have no idea where Nick Giga came as a name.
Well, it's
Nick Giga.
It's Nick, but it's not Giga because it's 2.5.
2.5 Giga. Yeah, $29. It's high. It's pretty good quality. You know what? 2.5 gig switches are now going down in price. If you have a use for it in your house as you're transferring a lot of files, folders, media stuff, a lot of traffic, you've got a gigabit plus Ethernet, not a gigabit plus internet connection, you may be actually able to use this. That was a loud ding. Wasn't me for a change. But yeah, for $30, I mean, we've got high speed networking that is now much more affordable than it ever has been. So it's apparently a little bit more reliable than those inexpensive 10G cards, which would get pretty hot, even though they were inexpensive. So yeah, it's a interesting and good option for those who want more than 1 gigabit of Ethernet throughout your house.
And you don't have a newer board that already has it built in. So this would be a
correct,
nice upgrade,
which I don't. Yeah,
that's good. Jeremy, what is your
or one other thing? If you wanted to start running something like pfSense, so you could do switching on an older PC.
Okay, throw another 2.5 on there. That's true. Jeremy.
Well, and you can buy that PCIe card we were talking about earlier.
That's true, but this is probably less expensive.
Probably, yeah,
including
I think $29.
Yeah,
is a bit
probably
cheaper.
a wee bit less expensive.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more
and
affordable.
I don't know if you noticed, but there was an Amazon 5% checkbox discount on that advertisement. Well,
that
as
almost covers sales tax.
Well,
Maybe.
that could almost save hundreds of dollars.
Depending on how many you buy. Your pick, Jeremy? Something?
Oh
along
yeah.
these lines?
So you want to play a demo? It's a thing I ran into called Apris, APRISS, which is or Abris, which is I spelled it wrong. Oops, sorry. Abris. It's a early risk game on Steam, independently developed. Can't even remember where I ran into it, but it's a physics game where you're trying to blow stuff up and destroy stuff. There's a free demo right now. The first couple of levels are, stack stuff up, make it fall on things, but then they give you a rocket, and you have to sort of figure out how to propel your stuff into destroying other things. There's bombs. It eventually gets rather interesting. The demo is limited right now, but it's actually a hell of a lot of fun, and it costs you absolutely nothing, and cranks this guy's numbers up on Steam. So yeah, it was a little bit of fun. I've enjoyed some of the other games that are similar to this, where you just you have to destroy this. And I'm not talking about the pig and bird game on the phone. I'm
thinking more that medieval one with the medieval weaponry where you'd have
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
The guys come running at you and you have killing machines that take them out, or I can't remember the name of that that game from about 5 years ago.
There was another one that looked like Mechanics, and you built the giant machine together with what looked like Meccano and just destroyed stuff. Anyway, it seems funny. The rocket level is especially fun because it is a physics demo. So if you don't balance the pillar that you're firing off, it's going to do interesting things. I managed to get mine to loop around a strange little pole that was on the map that I don't think you're supposed to be able to do, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, Besiege was that first game a couple of years ago. Yep.
Yeah, so if you just like silly destruction, it's fun, and I don't think since it's an indie game, I don't think it's going to cost that much once it comes out. So hey, give it a shot. It's a free demo. Brett?
There are a couple things that I actually probably enjoy more than Apple stuff, and that's Micro Center. And lately, it's talking about LG televisions. So I thought I would combine those two things into a Micro Center ad for LG televisions. Now, the LG television that I've been pining away for is the 55-inch 4K OLED C1 TV. Typically, those are priced at about $1,300 to $1,400. These are factory refurb units available at your local Micro Center for $900, complete with warranty. I was talking about them last week on Woot, available for more than Micro Center, available from Woot. That was the best deal I had found. They're getting to the point of where I'm going to be unable to refuse to just buy one now. So I'm going to have to drive over and probably get one at this point. So if you have a Micro Center and you're thinking about a 55-inch 4K television, I think you might be well served if you could locate a $900 version of this at your local Micro Center. Kent is telling me to just hold off for QD LED or OLED. I don't know. I think this seems to be good enough for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
quantum
sure.
OLED is
I don't know.
The OLED is already a very, very solid technology. It's like everything that plasma could have been. It's emissive. It has the infinite blacks. It has
Don't
the
bring up
potential
plasma
for,
around Josh.
It has the potential for burn-in. It's everything you loved about plasma.
that's the sound of plasma at my altitude.
No. I'm still successfully watching a 40-inch plasma every now and then. It still works good. Doesn't make any weird noises. I didn't get
but
any
you're like
penis burn in.
1,500 feet, so
Oh, is it the altitude? Is it seriously the altitude?
Yes.
Is that what did it?
over 6,500 feet. The first couple of generations of plasma would all hum. So you'd be watching TV, and that would be in the background all the time.
That's terrible.
You literally found a high altitude plasma at one point, didn't you? You didn't buy it. You just found that there was.
I did not, but they did create one. This has been
Josh.
the PC Perspective Outcast. Patro. Ingrown toenail. Thanks for joining us. Join our Patreon. Allow us to go to vacations in the Danube.